How do you respond to his claim that the consular officers have to get clear waivers with your office?
I would say, as I said before, that that's not correct. The consular officers make the determination on the first two prongs of the waiver, national interest and undue hardship. And the security check, as I testified, is conducted back here in Washington. Now, if a consular officer is...
So you're saying his claim is false?
Which claim? That Washington
Richards.
is making the decisions?
Yes.
Yes, that's not correct.
And how do you respond to Ms. Gartner's claim that the officers are implicitly or explicitly pressured to deny waivers?
We are not implicitly or explicitly pressuring anyone to act in any way contrary to...
Ever seen someone build the perfect setup and then walk straight into their own trap? That's exactly what unfolded here. This wasn't just another routine. Hearing this was one of those rare moments where experience cuts through the noise and exposes everything. Ilhan Omar came in loaded with talking points, resignation quotes, and a clear narrative ready to corner a longtime State Department official, but instead of scoring a political win, she ran headfirst into something far more powerful: facts, law, and over 3 decades of real-world experience. This is Real Talk America. If you care about truth over performance, make sure you like, subscribe, and share, because what you're about to watch doesn't just reveal what happened in that room. It says a lot about how Washington really works, and trust me, most people miss the bigger picture here.
You've been with the State Department for 33 years, right?
Over 33 years, yes.
Wonderful. Has it been typical for more than 100 people to sign dissent memos on a given policy?
That would be atypical, I think.
Atypical. Has it been typical for policy to drive several SOs to publicly resign in protest?
There have been Foreign Service officers who've resigned in the past over various policies. That's true.
In June of 2017, between the second and the third version of the Muslim ban, more than 100 diplomats signed a dissent memo that said, quote, banning travelers from these 7 countries calls back to some of the worst times in our history. Former consular officer Christopher Richards, who resigned in protest of the Muslim ban, said in an op-ed that the consular officers were not able to issue waivers on their own, that they had to get approval from the State Department. Would that be you? Do you give that approval?
No, that's not correct. The consular officers make the decision on the first 2 prongs of the waiver, national interest and undue hardship. And then the interagency security review provides the guidance on the security prong.
So that's not a decision you get to make, or is the White House involved in that decision?
Not at all.
Okay. Sarah Gartner, another former FSO who resigned in protest over the Muslim ban, told CNN that fellow officers, quote, felt pressure to approve as few folks as possible for the waiver. She also said that the Muslim ban had been, quote, reworked and sanitized by layers of bureaucracy with people distracted by the next terrible thing. It can be easy to forget it's even happening. Well, it looks like Congress hasn't forgotten. And Madam Chair, I have assigned testimony from 4 former FSOs that I would like to enter into record.
It's put into the record by unanimous consent.
Thank you. Ambassador John Foley, who quit his post as ambassador to Panama in 2018, said he could no longer represent President Trump and still hold true to the value that make this country great. Among the policies he listed was the Muslim ban. In the end, how many diplomats and consular officers signed a dissent memo protesting the ban?
I don't have an exact number for you, Congresswoman. I know that some did.
Will you be able to get us that number?
I can't guess that number, no.
How do you respond to his claim that the consular officers have to get clear waivers with your office?
I would say, as I said before, that that's not correct. The consular officers make the determination on the first 2 prongs of the waiver, national interest and undue hardship. And the security check, as I testified, is conducted back here in Washington. Now, if a consular officer is...
So you're saying his claim is false?
Which claim? That
Mr.
Washington
Richards.
is making the decisions?
Yes.
Yes, that's not correct.
And how do you respond to Ms. Gartner's claim that the officers are implicitly or explicitly pressured to deny waivers?
We are not implicitly or explicitly pressuring anyone to act in any way contrary to the law.
Okay. And how do you respond to Ambassador Foley's claim, shared by all the people who signed the memo, that the ban is a betrayal of American values?
The ambassador is certainly entitled to his opinion on that. There are many, obviously it's very clear that this policy has many opponents, but fundamentally it's designed to try to keep the United States safe.
And to our other two panelists, was Stephen Miller's role in formulating the 3 reiterations of the Muslim ban? What was his role?
I'm not aware of any role played by Stephen Miller.
And Ms. Newman?
I was not at the department in January. I did not start until late February.
Okay. And what instructions were DHS and state given from the White House as how to implement the Muslim ban?
I wasn't given any instruction from the White House.
Again, ma'am, I was not at the department in January 2017.
The department was not consulted about the first executive order.
What you're about to see is a textbook example of how narratives are built in Washington and how they fall apart when they meet reality. Ilhan Omar isn't just asking questions here, she's constructing a case, stacking dissent memos, citing resignations, and leaning into claims of pressure to paint a very specific picture. And on the surface it sounds compelling, but then comes the reality check. Edward J. Ramatowski isn't a political player. He's a career diplomat with over 30 years inside the system serving under different presidents' policies and crises, and that distinction matters, because while the argument leans on emotion, he responds with structure, process, and law. When she suggests Washington controls waiver decisions, he calmly corrects it. No theatrics, just facts. Field officers make the calls. Washington handles security review. That's not politics, that's procedure. And the moment facts enter the conversation, the narrative starts losing ground. When the discussion shifts to pressure, he doesn't engage. Emotionally, he anchors it back to the law. No one is being told to act outside it. Then comes the headline question, whether the policy betrays American values it's designed to provoke. But he doesn't bite. He acknowledges the opinion and brings it back to the core purpose: national security, steady, composed, and unshaken. And that's the real divide in Washington right now: performance versus responsibility. One side plays to the moment, the other understands the system, because in the end, when someone stays calm, sticks to facts, and refuses to get pulled into emotion, that's usually the person who actually knows what they're talking about. Noise might grab attention, but clarity wins control. And in this exchange, clarity didn't just show up, it took over. This is Real Talk America. If you want more breakdowns that cut through the noise, make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and drop your thoughts below. Did he handle it right? Or is politics today too focused on narrative over facts? Let's talk about it.